We are starting a topic called Ansible. Ansible is one very important configuration management tool, which we generally use in the CI/CD pipeline. So if somebody is joining new, we have already covered few of the topics in DevOps, which is we have introduced DevOps in the very first session. Then we went to cloud, that is AWS Cloud. We have spent two sessions over cloud. Okay. All these recordings are available in our YouTube channel, and we have been sharing each and every weekend sessions and the recordings in that group. So, and in the playlists are all available in our YouTube channel, and those YouTube channel and everything you will be finding able to find it over the your the same, that is in our training site. Okay. So the next two sessions after the cloud, we have devoted over Terraform, where we had a theoretical background on Terraform, and then we used a small demo to see what the magic behind. How do we use, instead of using the proprietary level cloud formation over AWS, we are using Terraform. So how automatically from outside we have seen how we could provision our resources over the cloud. Now, after we have created our house, let's say we have created our building, our home over onto the cloud, okay, in a very good region, or whatever you can say, in a very good locality, very good area. Now, what is your second most important priority? You have secured your house. You have given your security groups, and you have created your firewalls. You have created your authentications and all sorts of security enablement. You have enabled the security, the part which will actually secure your resource over the cloud. That part you have already done. Now, what is the next possible step that you can think of? What will you do once you get your house with a secured fencing or a firewall? What is the next step that you are going to do? Can anybody just give me a real life thought about it? What I am asking is, you have created your house or a resource over a cloud through Terraform, through some external tool which will help you to create your resources over the cloud without accessing the, just 1 hour back, Mr. Karthik was saying about the control plane, that is the management plane, where if you have an access to that console or management plane, then you can create your resources, you can destroy the resources, you can do havoc. That is not a very good security option. But yes, let's say I have another option, that with all the security things in place and authentication and authorization, I had built my house over the cloud, or rather a server, I can say server, an EC2 instance or a cloud computing server over onto the cloud through some, without accessing that management plane, that is from outside, with appropriate access. I can do that. Okay. And we have done that. We have built that particular server. Now, you tell me, what is the next thing that you can think of as a step?
Securing it.
Security part, you have already done the firewalls, you have done the authentication, you have created the key pairs such that and your security credentials are embedded within the AWS CLI. So you will never be allowed to go directly to the AWS cloud to create your resources. So all these things you have already done. That phase is already over. So now with the blueprint, now with the authority authentication given by the government of any country, that you are being able to procure a land and create your house. That is the normal process that you have done, and that Terraform is your tool to do that. You have done that. That phase is already done. Now, what is the next step that you can think of before you enter the house? What will you do?
Furnish the house.
Polish the,
Furnish it.
furnish the house.
Yes.
Furnish. Yes, that is the next important thing. That means you have got a beautiful house, but that is only the concrete part, the structure you have got. Now you have to make it habitable, isn't it? So you do some interior decorations, some configurations, do some changes, minor changes from here to which can entirely change the outlook of the house. That is what we are going to achieve with another tool called Ansible, which will now, the infrastructure is already built, the network, the the supporting firewall, the supporting security, the supporting infrastructure that you have built over for creating your the operating system, the key pair, the hard disk. Okay, everything has been built for the server. Now you are being able to access the server, but it's an empty server. You need to put in some good softwares, isn't it? You have to install few softwares, you have to configure few things such that you are now being able to utilize that particular infrastructure. Much so that is some configuration management tool should be there in your life cycle. Okay, and that is what we are going to learn in our Ansible. Okay, any questions? So we will learn about Ansible, like we will know about the Ansible architecture, Ansible components, okay? Because Ansible is a configuration management tool. So you will configure on the infrastructure that you have just now built. So you need some access to your hosts. You will create on that particular server. You will access the inventory to go to this endpoint, which is the host. You will do the configuration. You will create playbooks, like somebody was asking about. See, everything is like you are doing some coding of the infrastructure. That is called infrastructure as a code. You are trying to make the infrastructure flexible, and you will declare what you want. So you will write small scripts which are given by either HashiCorp for Terraform, or from Ansible. So Ansible, this like some, you don't have to know coding. Absolutely no. Okay, you do not need to learn know Java, Python, C hash, any Go, nothing. You do not need to. You will. These are not programming languages. These are small code modules which will be provided by the particular tool, so that you can create your playbook or instructions that you need to make to enable whatever you want. What is more important than how? You do not need to worry about the how, because the how part has been taken care by the tool itself. Okay, you just need to instruct what you want. What is the configuration that you want to do? And you will see that most of the things are already built for you, and those are called modules. So Ansible will produce the modules. Like you want to copy a file from a source to the destination. Will you write a code? You can write a code, but no need. That's why you use a configuration management tool called Ansible. So Ansible will produce or provide you with the modules. Okay, so it will give you the modules. The modules are code snippets already built, code snippets, whatever, I think SNIPETTES, whatever it is. And the code snippets are small modules which are already built in programs or library, which you will call through Ansible, and that call will make an API call that will produce an API call to the cloud to create or configure your server or the resource. The resources which have been built by whom? By Terraform. Terraform has created those resources over the cloud with all security inbuilt on a basic level, on the you know the ground level. Security has been implemented with those resources, and after that you will do the configuration through Ansible, and those configurations are aided with the Ansible modules. A lots of around 750 plus modules are already inbuilt, and on top of that, if you want to create your custom modules, you can create. Those are the things that we are going to learn in our job ready trainings. It is our scope is very limited when I am using these internship trainings or internship sessions. It is very difficult for you to or me to make you understand of these modules, or if you want to customize this module. But here we will use the whatever need is there, it will be catered with more than 750 modules. Uh, so you can think of anything you want to copy, you want to move, you want to remove, you want to modify. Basically, whatever you have the CRUD applications, the CRUD operations, create. You want to create anything, you want to read anything, resources, you want to update, whatever you do in a database, and you want to delete. All these things are fine, or you can do with the modules that are inbuilt within that. So we will also be using variables and interpolation. Interpolation is the values that you have within the variables that you stored within the variables. These variables are nothing but the storage, memory storage. In the memory, in the internal memory, you will create some variables. Okay, and the variables will have values. How will you get those values from the variables? You will interpolate. You will interpolate or extract the values from those variables. This can also be done like in any programming languages, you do all these things. But here you will do it very, very easily because it is all there within the Ansible scripts. You will also learn to use Ansible roles, but these are definitely, we are going to use it in a very detailed manner in our job ready trainings. Okay. Ansible Galaxy, that is a tool which will help you to create the structure of the Ansible role. Ansible board. Somebody was asking about whether you do some security implementation with the tools that you implement on the CI/CD pipeline. Now, yes, like for this is one of the tools within Ansible that will create. So you can create an Ansible vault to store your secrets. That is all the security keys, credentials, passwords, passcodes, whatever you see, you can safely put it into Ansible. Or you want to encrypt your Ansible code, the code, something which is as a text or some YAML files, you create the YAML files. But those are also text files which can be easily read by someone from outside. Why to give them the code access? So why don't you encrypt them? Encrypt the entire coding structure that you have built, and you can put them into the vault. Vault is, about in a bank, you will have the vaults. Similarly, think of a software, the tool is giving you the protection of all your secrets Even your code, you can encrypt them and put it into a vault. Whenever you want to use them, decrypt them and use it. So coding and encoding and decoding, everything happens within the vault. So in our hands-on, if there is enough time today, or maybe we can do it on the next day, that is, we will do a small demo. Okay, that how we can create our we can create the configurations over uh, the hosts. We can call those hosts, and from the main server, we can control whatever we need over those hosts. So this is your server, and these are the hosts scattered all over the world. So this is one host, this is another host, okay, another host. It can be anywhere in this world. And what you do, you will configure through the Ansible. Ansible is over here. You do not need to create Ansible agents anywhere else. Only that you have to ensure that you have Python, because Ansible works on Python. So Python should be, you have to ensure, and there is a mechanism. Ansible will give you that, gather the information whether in this host, the nodes, whether you have the Python or not. If not, it will give back a response that you need to. And Ansible, through the Ansible, you will install Python over there. So you have to ensure the Python is available all over the nodes. The rest, everything will be done, taken care by Ansible to connect it and all those things. That is what we want to install and configure our slaves. These are called slaves. This is the master. This is the master, and these are the slaves. Okay, these are all slaves. This is the master. Any question? You do not need Ansible anywhere on the host. That is one of the biggest advantage. There is a competitor called Chef, which is a competitor of Ansible, but Chef is nowadays quite below in the market position with respect to Ansible. Ansible is so popular, and the learning curve is so small that many people learn Ansible with respect to Chef. Chef is very difficult to learn, not difficult to learn, but you need much more time. You have to, the learning curve is very steep, as well as this is like, these are loosely coupled. But here in Chef, you have to put them into a cluster. And to maintain a cluster is not very simple, because you have to have the Chef agents running on each and every node in that cluster. This is going to cost, the architecture is costly when you go through Chef. Whereas with Ansible, you do not need to. There is no cluster concept. That is why it is so simple to implement. The architecture is very, very simple and very easy to learn. And we will do this. We will configure an Apache web server over onto any host, and we will customize the welcome page of Apache. These are the things that, see, these are that installation. These are all part configuration and customization. These are all part of what you say as configuration. Are you building any infrastructure? No, you are not building an infrastructure. This server is already created for you. This host is already there, already created by Terraform. So you just need, the house is there. You are doing the interior decoration. Is that concept more or less there? Any question? So why we learn Ansible? What is the history of Ansible? How Ansible works? Ansible architecture. So what is Ansible? We have already discussed that. Ansible is an automation and orchestration tool popular for its simplicity of installation, ease of use in what concerns the connectivity to the clients, its lack of agent for Ansible clients, and the multitude of skills. That means you do not need to create an architecture which is cluster based because you do not have to have the Ansible clients. That makes the architecture very simple and easy. Connectivity to the clients is very simple because it is based on SSH. You know SSH. Okay. SSH is the part of Open SSH toolkit. So SSH is a TCP/IP based protocol, okay, which will help you to connect from one server to the other server or one machine to the other machine. That is simply protocol means what? Protocol is the guidelines. So that guideline will help you to guide the endpoint. That means you will reach the endpoint using that guidelines of SSH. So Ansible functions by connecting via SSH to the clients. So it doesn't need a special agent on the client side. So therefore, unlike Chef, it does not need any special agent to be polled. The agent do not have to poll every now and then, every few seconds to the server. And that polling is a resource intensive process. Okay. This part is not at all there in your Ansible. Therefore, these are very important considerations when you think of an architecture. How easy the architecture is to be implemented. Whether it is going to be maintained? No, there is no maintenance cost because you are not building any cluster. And side by side, you are pushing the modules to the client. So it's a push module. Unlike Ansible is based on push modules. Ansible does the push module is based on the push model, whereas Chef is on the pull model. Now, can anybody tell me the advantage of push versus pull? You are pushing to the edge, you are pushing to the host. Whereas to Chef to function, it has to pull from the host. So pull is costly because here it is a single activity. Single activity. Here there is to do one configuration, you have to do two activities. And these activities have to be in sync because these are in a cluster. The host and the master is in a cluster. The master, before it needs to do any configuration over the host, it has to pull. That means it will have to pull the agent. The agent has to be triggered to let that particular job be deployed over onto the host. So instead of having a push module, why do we have to pull and then push? Not needed. But here, but in Chef, it is needed. So we will discard. We will not go for this. And most of the companies are discarding Chef. They find the difficulty. They find that it is getting costlier to maintain this particular architecture, whereas Ansible is easier to maintain and it is very cost effective. Since it uses SSH, it can easily connect to the clients having the SSH keys. We will see that in the demo. How easy to connect. Simplifying though the whole process, client details like hostname and IP addresses, SSH ports, and stored like inventory files. So inventory file is a very important component of Ansible, you know. So all these connectivity informations are available to Ansible through the inventory files. Once you have created an inventory file and populated it, Ansible can use it. Simple. So Ansible is an open source configuration management tool. Why open source? It is because you do not need to pay a single cent to learn this particular tool and you can use this particular tool. There is no license fees. There is no license fees to procure. Okay. Used for configuration management that we have already learned, can solve a wide range of automation challenges. Yes, yes, yes. It is very important. All the lifecycle challenges for automation can be resolved using Ansible as a tool. Written by Michael Dehan. Michael Dehan is the person who has invented Ansible. And no need. Okay. Now, Ansible was acquired by Red Hat in 2000 because of the popularity. You know, Red Hat is one of the leading Linux platforms. So Red Hat understood the importance of Ansible. So Ansible was taken over by Red Hat. So if I ask you, who is the owner of Ansible now? Not Ansible. Who is the owner of Ansible software? Ansible tool? Red Hat. Red Hat is the owner. Now in 2019, something happened. Great thing happened in the software world. Why? IBM acquired Red Hat because IBM had their IBM Cloud, but IBM Cloud was not getting a boost. It was lacking the platform. It was providing the software services, but it was not getting the platform services. So it acquired Red Hat was always popular. So it had acquired Red Hat. So entire thing, that cloud that it was manifesting over as a competitor with big houses like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, IBM was lagging behind in that competition. But once in 2019, it had acquired Red Hat. Red Hat agreed to merge with IBM. Then what happened? IBM shoot up as a cloud provider. The market value of IBM as a cloud provider rose just in with one strategy of getting Red Hat. And not only getting Red Hat, it has got Ansible along with that because in 2015, Red Hat had already acquired or merged Ansible with it. So can you see the importance of learning Ansible or understanding why industry has got Ansible? Why industry has adopted Ansible as a DevOps tool in their DevOps lifecycle, in that lifecycle, in their project lifecycle? DevOps and Agile are same. Agile is a project management methodology, whereas DevOps is what implements this Agile methodology. That is what we have discussed in our first session. Okay. Therefore, if I say that my projectized company has to be successful, I need to implement DevOps for automation. Okay. And this tool, this Ansible is one of the most important tools in that process. Okay. Any question? Why the importance of Ansible? We have already discussed that. Can you see? This is from 2020. Now already almost like 4 years have passed, and the position of chef, which is the red line, has gone down. I means Ansible, the position of Ansible has gone up quite a bit in this 4 years. The Puppet, Salt, Chef, they are all, the Chef is still in the competition, but Puppet and Salt, they are lying in the very bottom in the competition. So that is why we are learning, and in our DevOps course, main course, we have adopted this particular tool for our students to learn. Any question? So the architecture is very simple. It's a simplified view. I can just try to elaborate on that. Okay. When you say this is, you are writing an Ansible playbook. A playbook is like your instruction manual or instruction booklet or a book, and that is called a playbook. You write Ansible script over here, and that scripts are all provided by Ansible. You just have to copy and paste and create a playbook. That's all. You include the modules. You include the modules in this playbook. Okay? Modules in this playbook. And your Ansible playbook will access the inventory. Now, can anybody tell me, just now we have discussed what is the purpose of inventory? The users are going to access, or basically the DevOps guys who have created those playbook are going to implement or execute this Ansible playbook, which will in turn access the modules, access the inventory. Why we have to access the inventory? Without the inventory, how will I reach these hosts? These are the hosts. Host number 1, 2, 3. It can be n number of hosts. N number of hosts. Okay. So I have only one master server. This is the master server on which Ansible has been installed. And with Ansible comes the modules. We will configure the inventory. Inventory will make an API call. Through this, our playbook will access the inventory, understand which host it has to connect, and do the job, configuration job. So it will make an API call. It will also use the plugins. And the plugins will access the network to reach the hosts. So these API calls, these APIs, these plugins, these modules, and of course the inventory. These are all available when we install Ansible over onto our main server or the master server. Is that clear? And how do you access your host? It is, you will write simple playbook. I am saying simple, the playbook can go very complex. That's why we organize the playbook. See, the hierarchy is you write the playbook. Playbook will organize the tasks. Tasks are the job tasks. What are the tasks that you want to do? There can be multiple tasks. Task 1, task 2, task 3. Okay. So all this will be called through the playbook. The task will call the modules. It can call one module or hundreds of modules. Module. It will call the modules, various modules. Or it will call the handler. It will call the notify. Now these are, we are going to learn in details in our main course. But anyway, the structure is, so a playbook you have written to simplify the tasks. Otherwise, you are going to write the task one after the other. There is no one to control it. So you will create a playbook which can call multiple playbooks, multiple plays. So a playbook can have play. So maybe a play 1 will call task 1 and task 2. And there is play 2. Play 2 can call task 3. So a playbook having 2 plays, having multiple tasks called from the various plays, And the tasks in turn will call the modules and the inventory and whatever it is. Therefore, uh, to connect to the host and do the configuration job over the host. But again, the playbook can go very complex. You can have 2 plays or you can have n number of plays. Play n. And so can you believe how many tasks you can? So it can go very complex. You start with a simple playbook, then you can keep on expanding it, enhancing it to a very complex one. Now, this complexity is always in life. I always like to make my life simple. So I will break down this complexity through Ansible roles. So through the roles, I will organize the playbook to break down the complexity of the playbook into much easier way. So a playbook, I will not have so many plays. I will break down, I will have roles, many roles called from one playbook. And those roles now will cater to all the tasks, modules, and everything. So I have taken off the load from the playbook. I have created small roles to cater to each individual. So I have modularized, you know, if you are a developer, you will always try to modularize your uh, job in hand. You do not write the entire code in one single file, do you? No. Your file can grow up to 1,000 lines. If you write a code of 1,000 lines, it is not a good programming. I will suggest that if you can break them into say 50 lines per file, which will be easy to maintain, manage, and monitor. Because if there is some problem, some defect, it will be very difficult to debug 1,000-line code. But if some defect happens in this file, in this particular program, in this particular code file, it will be easier to debug 50 lines rather than debug 1,000 lines, isn't it? Do you agree? This is called modularization. You break down the main file or the main problem into smaller problems. You modularize the entire solution. Okay, that is what you do with the roles. So the structure is you be on the master server, create a playbook. Playbook will in turn call the inventories, and through the inventory you will end up into your hosts where and you will deploy the modules like so many jobs, tasks. You will deploy it over onto this servers, and through the SSH, and you have to have the Python over that, and that will be when the SSH will try to make a connection over to the host, it will give a feedback to Ansible saying that whether this particular host is having already Python installed or not. If Python is not there, the further activity will be just truncated or it will be just aborted. So this is the first alarm that rings whenever you try to connect. But if you ensure that each of these nodes or hosts have Python, the connection will be seamless. Gathering of the fact that Python is there will be seamless, and you can deploy those modules through your playbook. Any question? Any question? Sitting in one place, you are basically, let's say you are sitting in US office and this server is in India. This server is in Japan. This node is in Australia. Okay. and you want to do some installation of maybe Java, you want to install Java or any software from sitting over here, just writing a playbook, you do this and you will end up installing Java on each of these terminals or each of this host. Isn't it quite nice? And before that, you have used Terraform to create these platforms, these nodes scattered all over the world, part of your company. So after Terraform has done its job of creating the nodes, rather provisioning, better to say provisioning of those nodes over onto the various, these are all on the cloud, but you have created them into various regions and wherever you wanted. Okay. And after that, in one shot, in one playbook, you were being able to deploy all the necessary softwares that you want to upgrade or install, or you want to package, you want to do so many things, so many configuration activities over onto those servers. Is that fine? Just you need to write one playbook. Any question you might have? So the same, you will use the inventory. Inventory will help you to, because that inventory file will have a list of hosts. I will show you in the practical demonstration. And those are the hosts where your playbook tasks will be operated, will be deployed. You will write playbook. That is one of the components of Ansible. Okay. Where you will describe the tasks to be executed. You will write in a very simple language provided by Ansible. Playbooks are like instruction manuals. As I told you, you say what you want to do. Whether you want to install Java, whether you want to install Apache web server or an application server, or you want to upgrade the version, or you want to remove some software, or you want to read some configuration into your, into your monitoring. You are monitoring something and you want to check whether this is available or not. If not, then you install it. So all these configuration activities are like instruction manuals that you put into your playbook. Okay. Now, as I told you, the modules are like tools, small tools within the Ansible tool. Tools means some programming modules. So it is already inbuilt for you. Like you want to move a file from your source to the destination, or you want to copy a file from your source to the destination. Destination means the host. Okay. So you build that particular file into your master server, and then you copy into hundreds of the hosts in one shot. So you will take the help of a copy module. So the module name is copy. There are hundreds, as I told you, there are more than 750 modules, out of which one is copy. Other one is, Linux. So you have the Red Hat Yum package module, or you have used Ubuntu. So the package manager apt comes as a module. So if you are installing some softwares over a Linux server, which is an Ubuntu server, so the host is an Ubuntu server, you want to use the app module to install, upgrade, or remove. These are the things that you can do with a package manager called apt, upgrade or remove. You can do this much. Okay. So you will use the app module. You do not have to write the raw code So the code is like that whenever you are doing raw. So you can give a sudo apt install. When you are doing it over the Ubuntu, you are using an app package module, okay, package manager, and you are installing Apache. So you are saying Apache 2 minus y. So you are installing a software called Apache over into this server directly using a raw command, a CLI command of Linux over Ubuntu. But this thing, you can do it over Ansible. Just use the app module. You do not have to write this command. This command will be internally converted through Ansible. So app module knows what it needs to do. You have to give just the parameters because it's a YAML file. You will give the parameters, whether what is the state. So you will say the state is Apache 2, and you can give it latest version of Apache 2 you want to install. So your app module, you will say apt colon, under that is state, and whatever update cache, you will say yes. So it will update the repository. So these are not programming language. These are things that are coming. You have to know it. That's all. Very, very simple. If you know it, this becomes very simple. So configuration and the host files, you have understood. I think it can control the resources like services, packages, etc. There are almost like over 750 core modules. It will also allow you to do your custom module. You can create your own module if you have something which is not catered by 750. But I do not think you can think of anything which is outside these 750 core modules. So you do not never need to create your custom module mostly. So where are your configuration and the host files? It is under the Ansible host. So when we demo, I will show you. This is the inventory file where you will keep your the destination IP address. So the host IP address will be stored over into this file because Ansible needs to access, because Ansible needs to know where it has to deploy the job, in which server. So that server IP address has to be mentioned somewhere, and that is called the host file. That is the inventory file. And if you need to have your own inventory file, let's say you, instead of using the default, you have an inventory file by the name inventory.ini, then you have to mention your host file or the inventory file within the Ansible configuration file. Okay, you will have your customized inventory file. You have to mention where it is there, where and what is the name of the inventory file, because you are not going to use this as the default. Is it getting very difficult for you to understand? I'm not getting any questions. So shall I assume that it is you are not being able to understand, or it is very simple, that it is very natural, therefore you have no questions? So it is a YAML file. The Ansible playbook that you write is a very it has a YAML format. There is no scope for me to let you know what is a YAML. That is out of scope right now, because it's a very, very interesting and the most advanced format of writing your scripts in a predefined template called YAML. And Ansible playbooks are written in YAML format. Very, very simple. The earlier we used to do write all those transaction details in XML files. XML was the only format available for interchange of information over over the internet. That was the only format available earlier days. So through this, you will interchange or exchange the data. Data means information over the internet in a very secured way. In a secured way. Now you have YAML. Instead of XML, you have YAML. Yet another markup language. Okay, and that language is based on JSON. JSON is like JavaScript object notation. It is nothing but a key colon value pair. Key is nothing but a variable which will refer to the value. So the value is stored into this key, into this variable. So you will just refer to the key to get access to the value. It is as simple as that. So YAML is nothing but, let's say my name is Debasis Pal. Okay. So can you write a JSON format of my name? I'm not talking about XML. XML will need a lot of tags. Difficult. It's a very complex type of a format. So it is not very much popular with the developers or anyone using XML for an interchange of information. So they have resorted to YAML format, and it's like you are transferring my name or interchanging an information, that exchange of information over the internet, like my name. You are passing that information from one point to the other point. Okay. So how will you pass that information over the net in a JSON format? Let's say the main key is name, and there is an indentation, that is, you leave two places. There is a sub key. This is the main key, and the sub key is the first name. First may be underscore name, or whatever the camel case. Colon, you give the first name is the value Debasis. So within quotes Debasis. Then you say middle name. Middle name. I do not have a middle name. So what you can do, you can make a null entry. Then the last name. See, it is the key and this is the value. And between that, there is a colon. So key, value. This is the main key. These are the sub keys. These are the properties of the main key. So the last name is PAL. So this is the JSON format that I can pass my information. And where do you have to keep this? You have to keep this in a file with an extension called YAML. That's all. Did you understand that? So I will also give the same sort of instructions over into an Ansible playbook, which is in YAML format using the JSON format. Is there any question? In a very short way, I have explained the term YAML and JSON. JavaScript object notation. These are objects. So this key is an object. In this object, you have this particular reference to this value. So the key first name will have a value called Debasis. When you access the name and within that name, the first name, then you will get the value called Debasis. That is how you exchange the information over the internet in a YAML format. So why I'm saying internet? Because you are writing this is some code, some scripts that is happening in a YAML format with a JSON type of notation that you do, and then you pass that information. You make an API call. The API call is nothing but you are making a call from one system to the other system. Okay, to avail some resources or to manipulate some resources. You make an API call. An API call travels over the internet. So to make your data safe, you have to give in a particular format, and that format is the JSON format over a YAML file. Are you getting me? So whatever API calls that you are making, that is, you are calling a module called copy or APT. You give the instructions as a key value pair over this playbook. Any question? Are there any guys? Or everyone has left? I'm not sure because I'm not being able to see it. Sorry, is there any question? I just broke off and wanted to understand if there are um, any questions. Because don't worry, it is up to us to extend our sessions. If there is a paucity of time, we can avail the next weekend to expand our knowledge. There is no time frame, there is no time limit, because the whole purpose is to make you aware of something, which is whether this forms part of your goal, whether the academic goal that you want to achieve, or the learning, that whether this falls into your learning path, learning goal. Okay. If you find it too difficult and if this is not the one that you are actually interested in, then definitely there is no point. But at least you have to know, for that, to open up that gate of whether you are fine with this particular domain. That is our purpose. That is the scope of why we take this weekend sessions very, very seriously. Even there is one person with some interest, and we are there for you to help you. No need to worry whether I have completed my session of Ansible today. I will carry on tomorrow, or basically the next weekend. Is that clear? So any questions? Somebody, Mr. Menon, are you asking a question? I think that will be a difficult question for me.
No, I'm not asking. You asked like if anyone is there, so I raised my hand.
Okay. Okay. So let me go back. I do not have much time, so I will try to compile within 10 minutes, but I will extend because I have to do the demo. Without a demo, I don't believe there is any utility of this particular knowledge. Okay, so that demo and that whatever the slides will be left today, I will carry on over in the next week. But let's see how much we can go ahead with. So this is the structure of a playbook. You see, the playbook can have multiple plays, and each play can have multiple tasks, and each task can have multiple modules or notify or a handler, as we have described earlier. So this is sort of an organization. You have organized your tasks into a playbook such that it is easier. So if there is some failure into this task, I will know that this was actually from this playbook. There can be multiple playbooks running in the system. Okay, but this task has failed. So I will know because this task is related to this play and this play is related to this playbook. So I will know which file has failed. This is the way you organize. Okay. We want to create a playbook with 2 plays and 2 tasks and the following tasks. Let me, yeah. So we have come into inside a playbook. Inside a playbook. I will just take some time for from you to describe what we are trying to achieve. We are writing a playbook. Do you think that this is a programming file? Are you writing any programming like are you writing in shell script, which is the simplest one? Not even shell script. Leave aside Java, Python, and all those things. They are much more structured. They have a lot of, you know, steps. If you want to write a single code of action, you have to write, say, around 30 or 40 lines to just accomplish one simple print. You want to print a single line of something, hello world from Java. So it is not, you cannot write a single line. You have to write at least 20 to 30 lines to follow the structure. But do you see there is any structure? No. It is simply you are giving in sequence. You are saying that my name. So this is the instruction that you give a dash, 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 3 dashes. It is a symbol to say that you are writing multiple segments of a YAML file. Multiple segments. So it can be one single YAML structure, or there can be multiple YAML structure within a single file. So if you have a single or multiple, you can start, you by convention is a good practice to start with a dash 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 to indicate that it's a YAML file with multiple segments. And you are defining with a hash. Hash means there is a comment. This is a simple playbook with a single play. So we are having only one play. Like in our diagram, a playbook can have one play. There is no problem. But a playbook can have multiple plays. So here, let's see what is inside a playbook with a single play or a simple play. So you are defining the name of the playbook, name of the play, and the hosts. These are the hosts. So you cannot mention host. You cannot say, you cannot say you cannot say this is the key for the JSON. You cannot say host. You have to mention hosts because that is the keyword. That is the key. So this entire structure, this entire thing is a JSON way of indicating your data. You are mentioning the data as a JSON format, in a JSON format, in a YAML template. This is a YAML file because there is a certain indentation that you have to follow. So these are the various keys that should come in the same level. These are the keys. And these are the values. This is also a key. So whichever I marked with a violet ink is a key. And whichever I'm marking with a marking with a marking with a blue tick is a value. This is a value. This is a multiple value. Okay, multiple value. So what we are doing here is if I try to understand this, is we are saying what is the name of the play? The name of the play is a simple play. This play will be displayed when we execute this playbook. We will see the next day. Okay. And the host means which is the server or which is the host that you are going to connect to. This information, can anybody tell me where this information is coming from? From which file? There is some file where I have mentioned this with some IP address. What is that file that my playbook will try to access? What is that file called? Where I have that IP address information, where it has to connect as a host to deploy some job or to deploy do some tasks. This is coming from anybody? This is coming from which file? Will I say this is module? No. Will I say this is coming from the inventory file, whether it's a host file or some other customized inventory name? This is the inventory file. So this information is stored in inventory file. So in the inventory file, we will have this, the name of that server which you want to connect with, along with the IP address. We will see that. Is that clear? The user is the key. And what is the user? The user is some remote user. You may name it some Ubuntu or root. Some user that you or the Linux user that you have created. Become, yes, you will take a role. You will take the role of whatever the policy has been assigned with Ubuntu you will become that. Become method. So if you are a user having a pseudo privilege, you will use a become method. You will use that particular privilege. So that remote user can also become a user root with a pseudo privilege. So you are making all these instructions. You are giving these instructions to Ansible. So whenever you are connecting to this particular host, you are connecting with a user, and that user can be a remote user by the name Ubuntu or whatever, and that is having, it can be Debasis as well. If Debasis user has been already created onto this particular host, and you can, if you have already been created with a pseudo privilege, you will use that method. And with that pseudo privilege, you will be assuming a role. You can become a root user. That means you are a super user. And that is my configuration. That is what I want to do. And what is the task? The name of the task is the first task. What is the service? Service. So can anybody tell me what is this? What is this? What are you calling this? Like you have said that this is the inventory. Then what is this? You are calling a, what is this? Anyone? Give it a wild try. This is nothing but you are trying to install a software called HTTPD, which is nothing but Apache. Okay. And enabled equal to true means your service will create this HTTPD or install this particular software, which is Apache, and enable it. Enable it means next time the server is booted, the server will automatically run the Apache web server. You do not need to again and again restart it or start it. So the second task is another task. What you are doing? You are enabling, you are going for SSHD. So that is a service. That is a service which is making that you are making this service enabled. That means always you are making it run. So this, now my question was, you are giving this key and value. That's all. What is this service about? What is this service? What is this called in Ansible terms? If instead of service, if I had given apt and then say name equal to httpd. So httpd, because we are using a server which is the remote, sorry, this manage host example, this is a Red Hat server, let's say. So a Red Hat server will understand httpd as an Apache, and we will say state latest. So what does this mean? This means I'm trying to use the apt something and to install Apache server with the latest version. So what this apt? What is this apt? What is that I'm calling? Anyone? That is my last question for today. Or this service, what is this called? These are nothing but called module. You are calling a apt module. You are calling a service module. You are calling a service module. There could have been a command module. Command. CMAND. This is nothing but a shell script. So in that you could have executed a shell command like echo welcome to Ansible. So simple echo command of shell. So what is this command? Command is nothing but a module. Command is nothing but a module. With this help of module, you are calling Ansible to call this module, and with that module, you are command module, you are executing a shell script called or shell command called echo welcome to Ansible. So welcome to Ansible will be printed on the console.